welcome to Dark Truths, Religion Uncovered. Tonight, we're exploring a quiet but massive shift in how we see God. The ancient texts and modern religious language tell us two very different stories, and the contrast reveals an unsettling truth. Our idea of God has shrunk. We're going to confront a belief that often slips by unnoticed. The idea that God, the all-powerful creator, somehow needs us. In modern faith, it's common to hear things like, God needs you, God is counting on you, or God can't act unless you do. These phrases create a narrative where the divine seems to rely on our belief and participation. On the surface, this feels empowering, right? It gives us a sense of purpose. But when we look at ancient theology, these ideas are not just unsettling. They're completely off base. The sacred texts are crystal clear. God doesn't need our intervention. He chooses to engage with us. This is a crucial distinction. God creates and sustains the universe on his own. As the Psalms declare, if I were hungry, I would not tell you. This powerfully shows that worship isn't food for God. It's a way for us, as humans, to find our own formation and purpose. But many modern interpretations have flipped this upside down. God is often portrayed as an emotionally dependent, incomplete without us, and even vulnerable if we don't pay attention. Faith becomes a kind of flattery, and worship turns into an act of reassurance. In this version, God seems smaller, needing our validation to feel important. The ancient theological perspective stands in stark opposition to this. In that view, God's greatness isn't lessened by our absence, nor is it boosted by our approval. God's omnipotence is completely independent of what we think. As the heavens declare the glory of God, they do so not because they were told to, but as a natural expression of their very existence. Modern faith often frames worship as something God requires from us, rather than a vital need we must fulfill. This subtle shift puts humanity on a pedestal at the expense of the divine. It turns God into just another participant in life, not the foundational source of all existence. Ancient theology, however, insists that God's independence is essential to the very meaning of worship. A divine being that needs us to function can't be a true savior. A God that depends on us can't offer ultimate judgment or correction. That kind of being could only offer affirmation, which, without real authority, is just a nice sentiment, not salvation. This contemporary view might seem attractive because it creates a sense of closeness, but ancient beliefs teach us that true relationships need a certain asymmetry. God isn't our peer or our equal. He stands apart, not because he lacks us, but because we desperately need him. This understanding cultivates true humility in our faith. When God is seen as reliant, faith becomes transactional. We start to feel indispensable, leading to an inflated sense of self-importance. We find ourselves serving out of leverage, thinking, look at all I do for God. The scriptures constantly tear down this posture. The story of Job teaches that God's plans will happen with or without us. The Apostle Paul asserts that God's power is made perfect in our weakness, highlighting human frailty, not divine fragility. And the destruction of the temple is a powerful reminder that God doesn't dwell anywhere by human permission. Ancient theology fiercely guards the distance between God and humanity, because that distance is vital for reverence. Modern belief often collapses that distance to feel more intimate. But intimacy without reverence can lead to entitlement. God becomes a partner, not a sovereign lord. Brands need your loyalty, but God demands the truth. The penetrating truth for tonight is this: a God who needs our existence or affirmation cannot be sovereign. A God who depends on humanity for his completeness cannot be truly divine. If he can't stand apart from our recognition, he's just a concept, just an idea, not the ultimate reality. Ancient belief trembled before a God who existed before us and will endure long after we are gone. In our modern age, we seem to prefer a God defined by relational dependence. But we have to recognize that true love is rooted in choice, not need. God's choice of humanity comes from divine purpose, not necessity, and that formidable choice is what gives the relationship both its terror and its depth. So, we close with a question that echoes from ancient theology, pressing on our modern beliefs. If it were true that God needed nothing from you, would you still choose to follow him? Thank you for joining us on this journey. Share your thoughts below. Has the evolution of belief made God dependent? Or does it uphold the reverence of a divine being who chooses us without needing us? Your reflections are valuable as we continue to explore these profound truths.